morning after. Great debate between a businessman and a corrupt politician. And all they can really talk about is, and when I say they, I mean the mainstream media, mostly George Stephanopoulos from ABC News Network. There's a shout out. Oops. And it goes right back to the core point that the Don brought up last night. And it's a rigged election. How, they say? Well, starters, the media, absolutely 100%. They beef up Hillary Clinton. And, you know, immediately I'm just going to squash out, it's not about a man-woman thing. Forget about that, all right? And, you know, why aren't there 3 other women running against Hillary Clinton? Okay, just one woman? Okay, you know, I don't have a problem with a woman being up in there, but it should be a woman that at least did her job. 30 years in politics, and it's a madhouse. It's tyrannical government, out of control, overreach, too much power. Which takes it back to the first question that was asked last night that did not get answered. Who will you appoint as the Supreme Justices? And then what do you think about, get ready, are you ready for this word? Because they say it exists, but I have yet to see it exist. Constitution. Is it a dead document, or is it a living, breathing instrument that can be added to or taken away from? And that question never got answered. Of course they answered about, you know, who they would elect, and hopefully they'll have their morals and values, and let's just cross our fingers and hope for the best, right? And then it went on to pro-life. But going back to the question of, is the Constitution dead or alive? It's both. And here's why. It's long-standing that when a contract is made, that is the Constitution, that is the contract with the people, the public servants, not the public officials, but the public servants will bind to that contract with the people. So it's a balance of power. Now, the only ones that can alter that contract are the original framers. That means the original people who wrote that instrument, because we do not know the intent today. It's 200 years ago, right? Okay. And B, is it possible that our forefathers would have been discussing climate change and, you know, all this other rhetoric, nuclear arms deals, you know, weapons of war deals? I mean, yeah, of course, you know, George Washington was a general, so, you know, he, I'm sure, was in arms trading. Seems like every public official, I slipped, forgive me, public servant, has got their hands on arms trades, arms dealing. But they want peace. They'll sell us weapons, not us, but other countries' weapons of mass destruction. But anyways, getting too far off the topic of the Constitution and that question that was never answered. So, with that being said, it's a living document because it still applies today. However, public servants have now taken it upon themselves to call themselves public officials with administrative rules, codes, policies, statutes. And the reason that word Constitution stuck out to me so much is because back on Monday, I'm discussing with the prosecutor, which is a court of law, and their job, to get that job, you have to stand on top of the Constitution, or you have to stand underneath it, one of the two. You have to uphold it. Everything needs to be in harmony with that instrument, that contract with the people. When you step out of the bounds of the harmony, when you're no longer in sync with it, you're no longer lawful. You're no longer legal. But at any rate, when I brought up the Constitution, she giggled. and said it's too broad. The Constitution's just too broad. That's why the state has the power to take it away from you. Whoa, man. Did you just hear that? I don't think so. And I don't think that that was the intentions of the forefathers. I don't think that was the intentions of the Federalist Papers that came after the Constitution was drafted because of this very question. How much power should go to the vested? This election is very serious. Back to it being rigged. In the media, all they want to talk about is how Don disrespected democracy. Said he would not concede. How dare he say that? He would not concede to the losing opponent? Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to use a couple of examples of today in history where the losing party did not concede, but they took court action. Oh, there's that word court again. Issue 1 out of Toledo, Ohio last year. It passed 11,000 to 4,000. That's a 3-to-1 ratio for issue 1 out of Toledo to decriminalize. Take away pains and penalties, which is a bill of attainder and it shouldn't exist to begin with. However, the state attorney general, Mike DeWine and family and friends and cuckoos, took it upon himself to take the issue in front of Judge Mondinos in Toledo, Ohio, Lucas County, to seek an injunction to take that voter's results away. Well, hey, wait a minute. What happened to standing on the steps and saying, well, it was a good run, Johnny? No, you took it to court and challenged it. And because you are all a bar attorney association that doesn't know how to uphold the Constitution, you slapped the injunction in. You struck record. You buried absolutely correct language that was put in writing. Done lawfully, done legally, done by the Constitution. So, there you have it. The media rigged, spinning it, making it a big deal. Big deal that Donald won't concede. Or maybe, just maybe, I'm going to throw one out there for you. Maybe it was Donald's job to begin with to be so obnoxious, as they say, to destroy the Republican Party. Because, hey, who's left? Hillary. You know, seeing commercials where you've got people that were Republican and now they're going to cross the line and go into Democrat, and even though they don't agree with Hillary, at least she's reasonable. You might as well say, well, I might as well vote for the lesser of two evils. Come on. Come on now. Done seen this for 40 years. You hear me? 40 years. And it hasn't changed. And if you think that it's going to change after November 8th, nope. It's not going to change. It's going to remain the same. So, I've got to put it to the test. So I've got on my license plate, not for hire, private automobile, because I was told, along with the Constitution is too broad, that I don't have an expectation of privacy when my license plate is in plain view sight. Okay. Well, I say this. If I am forced to go get a license plate to have my automobile on the roads that I pay for these roads. Every time I buy a gallon of gasoline for this automobile, there's a part of that tax that's paying for road maintenance. Oh, and at the BMV, Bureau of Motor Vehicles, where I voluntarily admit that I've got a motor vehicle. So I put that license plate on there. Well, I get paid, you know, I pay, what, 65, 70 bucks a year. Some of that road maintenance goes there. So I am forced by a statute to pay a fee to travel. But then I don't have the expectation of privacy. Now that's huge. Because if you give an inch today, they take a mile tomorrow. And that's serious. So at some point, somewhere, a stand has to be taken. You try to take it at the election polls and say, hey, I want a different guy in office. That's just a hoax.